Hey everybody, welcome to another Age of Grogu, and I'll go with the Max, Elijah, and Jason, and welcome on this 4th of, well, May the 4th.
May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you day, where a lot of things have been going on, and things dropping, and toys are coming out, and this and that, and I was going to go through a few of that stuff, bits and pieces today, of what's been going on. It's been a lot of Star Wars stuff in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been like continual, drops. Everything from Andor, Tales of the Underworld, which I checked out last night. Celebration was 2 weeks ago. Star Wars Celebration in Japan. And then again, the immense amount of toy drops that are going on, guys, is just ridiculous. I'm going to show you some of the stuff, and I'll show you some of the stuff I really want to get and probably won't be able to afford.
There goes Brent's 401k.
That is it. Exactly. Oh yeah, yes.
Retirement fund when Brent gets Alzheimer's and forgets what Star Wars is. That's our time to go start selling his stuff.
Ouch! Elijah, ouch!
I'm just saying, it's your retirement fund.
Sure.
No, when he gets Alzheimer's.
Hey, Ronan, how you doing, buddy?
It's gonna be the only thing he remembers.
The only thing I remember.
Yeah.
Keep talking about Darth Plagueis. Yes, Brent. Darth Plagueis.
You remember the story of Darth Plagueis?
The Plagueis, the Wise.
I
do remember. I do. Oh my goodness. So just before we kind of jump into the Star Wars stuff that's been going on and what we've checked out and what what are our thoughts on Andor and all that, what have you guys been up to this last week? You seeing anything new, anything cool that came out that might be worth talking about?
A couple things came out that are pretty cool.
Okay.
Thunderbolts.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I saw a movie before you guys. That's crazy.
I know. Yeah.
That's rare.
Also, a free comic book day yesterday.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
A lot of Star Wars stuff came out because they're starting a new era of Star Wars comics this week.
Thanks, Ron.
I chatted with Mark Guggenheim yesterday, the writer of one of the Star Wars projects. He signed the book yesterday. And,
nice.
A lot of cool Star Wars stuff coming out soon, apparently, in the comics.
Yeah.
What storyline is that, then? What's that? It just says Star Wars.
So there's a few eras it's showing off here. The new era takes place, I guess, after episode 5.
Okay.
It's when the new number 1 takes place.
All right.
No, after episode 6, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Return of the Jedi.
Episode 5 or 6.
Okay.
I can't remember which one they ended off in. And then they're also doing stuff. Mark Guggenheim's doing a prequel stuff with all the Jedis right now.
Right.
And then there's also a Kylo Ren storyline going on where he's like in the shadow of Vader, where it's Kylo Ren learning all about Vader and why he kind of it's going deep into why Kylo kind of idolizes Vader.
Okay. Now that was the free comic book that was handed out on the free comic book day specifically for that.
Yeah, it's 3 short stories that tie into series that are either ongoing or coming out this week.
Cool. Awesome. Very cool.
I watched.
Jason,
I watched. Me and Liz watched Y2K.
Y2K. Okay.
Oh, you need to see that. Good or bad?
It's objectively bad.
Right.
But
I heard.
It's kind of like you watch those like old cult movies like Nukem High or like Toxic Avenger. It reminds me of those. Those are like bad movies. Yeah,
like
right.
Wow.
Remember that one? It's a bad movie.
Yes,
I never saw it.
I watched it so many times because it's just fun to watch. But I feel like Y2K kind of carries that kind of tradition of this like just entertaining. It's not a good movie. It just goes really fast. It's like an extended skit.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of, but yeah, I don't know. We enjoyed watching it.
It's like one episode of Treehouse of Horrors or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. They just keep going with it. But yeah, it's objectively bad, but it's a fun watch.
Cool. Max, you're frozen again.
Oh, great. It's a mess.
Yeah, I know. It seems to be.
He's just intensely looking at something at the side of the room.
Yes.
He's looking at
We've got direct, like a side profile. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'll try to sort that out. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. All right. Hopefully he makes it back because last time he couldn't. That's cool.
Oh,
Jason, how was without spoilers, of course, because it only just opened this weekend. But how was Thunderbolts?
Oh, it's really good. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. It made me like I got excited. I'm like excited about Marvel again.
wow.
Oh,
Kinda.
really?
Yeah.
That's
Strong.
saying a lot because
Strong. Yeah.
Yeah, because
yeah,
I mean, it's just a good movie too.
yeah,
Like, there's not a reliance on like any, Marvel's been going on for a while now, so there's a
yeah,
lot of like reliance on like, um, what is it? Nostalgia bait.
right,
That we've been like experiencing a lot, and then Star Wars has
yeah,
that issue too.
yeah.
But this one is just like, yeah, it's just a good movie. I
Okay,
really recommend it. I was really excited about it, and it
yeah,
and it delivered. Because like but yeah,
Nice.
it's solid,
cool.
solid film. Even like outside of being a Marvel movie, it's still a good movie,
Right, that's
and that
good.
says a
That's good to
lot.
hear.
So
Yeah,
so yeah, check it out when you guys get a chance.
yeah. I want to see it soon because once you lose that ability of seeing it in the theater, then it's lost forever. So
I think it's gonna be out for a while because it's doing well. So
yeah,
you'll
that's
have
cool.
plenty of time.
That's cool. What you been up to, Elijah?
Working all week, or actually for
Okay,
a week and a half. So
okay,
I've been doing
that's
that
good.
like all day, like long days. But I
Cool.
did catch up on a few things. I don't know if you guys talked about it, but the season 2 of the Light and Magic
I still haven't
was,
seen it
was
yet. I haven't had
pretty
time.
great. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
surprised you haven't watched it
So
yet.
I
I
Oh
know.
can do
shoot!
it. I
Yeah.
can.
And then you were just talking about Y2K. I know they got added to
Hmm.
Max Companion on
Right.
Max
Uh-huh.
Okay.
because I didn't see that in the theater, and I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I knew it was something to do, some sort of robot, something girlfriend or something. That's all I really knew going into the movie, and I didn't
Mhm.
really expect any of the storyline, which it was good. I enjoyed it
Yeah, I
for that
want to
type of
check that
film.
out too.
It was.
Yeah.
I think you'd really like it, Jason. It
Yeah.
and not knowing anything about it really helped because I was just each little
Um,
change in the storyline made it. I don't know, convincing and works for what they're setting up. So
yeah, I wanted to watch that, and Liz was too scared. we
no,
watched
don't.
the,
Okay.
we watched the
It's not
trailer.
scary.
She's like, I don't want to watch it. Too
It's not
scared.
scary. It's actually, to me, it's pretty clever. I really like
Yeah.
it. I really
Okay.
like it a lot.
Yeah. Well, Jack Quaid, that's like one of his many movies that are out right now.
Yeah, I know. He's
Hmm.
like
Getting around.
Yeah.
Oh,
everywhere.
that's what else I
Hey,
saw. Sinners. I
This
Oh yeah.
the one's doing very,
oh,
very well in
Sinners.
the box
I didn't
office.
say
Mhm.
that. I saw
Yeah,
Sinners too.
yeah. I haven't had the chance to see it, so I do want to see it. So I hear it's very good. A lot of people. Uh,
Yeah, I heard good
yeah.
things.
So Max,
Check that out.
Jason gave us a quick spoiler-free bit. What's your spoiler-free thoughts on Thunderbolts? Do we
Can you
lose Max
freeze
again?
Riveting.
again?
That's riveting.
That's how
Max
good
is
it
very
is.
good. I
Max
just
is
heard
speechless
Thunderbolt.
for one.
Speechless.
Yeah.
Max, did you hear us?
Speechless.
Do we have to sign? Max, do you
No, I did
hear?
not. I'm hearing like vague comments.
Oh, really? Okay. What spoiler free? What was your thoughts on Thunderbolts?
Thoughts on Thunderbolts, man.
I didn't get a word of that.
Really?
Thoughts on
Wow.
Thunderbolts?
Oh, he's not coming through to him.
Try unplugging
I'm
and
seeing Brent's
unplugging.
mouth moving.
Oh, shoot.
He got that.
Um,
Can you hear us, Max?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, I got
1
that.
minute on Max.
Okay.
A Max minute.
Yeah, Sinners is doing very well right now. Okay. Avengers.
Oh, he's gonna pantomime
can you
now.
hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
You can be the silent Bob of today's episode.
Awesome.
Okay.
All I heard was Thunderbolts.
Okay. Yes.
That's
Spoiler-free
awesome.
thoughts.
Type it in the.
I really
private-
liked it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
I
Thumbs
really
down.
like Thunderbolts.
Cool.
Thumbs up. Without going too much into it, it is one of the most character-driven Marvel movies they've made, and that's what really
Okay.
made it stand out.
All right.
It sure is a superhero movie. It doesn't shy away from being a superhero movie, but
Yeah.
it really is a movie that's more focused on the characters and the story than
cool.
trying to deliver some big epic thing. But that being said, the villains worked really well. Sentry worked really well. Valentino worked really well in the movie. The only complaint that I had that's not a spoiler is I just wanted more of the characters. I just wish it was like 5 hours long because I just wanted to see more of the characters interacting with each other.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. I agree.
Nice.
That's how much that's how good they are. You just want more.
Really?
You want more of that movie.
It's doing well, so it's. I mean, it did well for the opening weekend, but they not as well as as it used to be in the MCU golden age. But
I think if they marketed this movie a little differently, it could have performed slightly bigger.
Right.
But that being said, it doesn't have the same feeling as like an Avengers movie. It's not trying to. It's a movie that's talking about characters and their headspace and mental health in a way. And it really is not trying to deliver the epic New York, even though it's set in New York at times, it's not doing the epic Avengers versus Kree fight. It's something very different, and I think
it's pretty contained
not the same
too,
kind of blockbuster.
Yeah.
Not really. I'd say it really, without spoiling it, it does really open things up for the rest of the universe.
Right.
Yeah, it opens up, but like I don't know, I felt like the same way when I watched like Winter Soldier. Kind of just like, oh yeah, this is so exciting. Good character stuff going on.
I'm pretty sure by the sound of it, word of mouth is going to get around quickly to go see this film, and I think there might be a continual.
I think so because it's good. It's like besides being like a important movie in the saga, it's just a legit good movie.
Right.
I think what really stood out to me was the look of the film. It doesn't have the same kind of bright, colorful look as the other Marvel films kind of go for. The color palette was very not muted but grounded. It was like a very realistic color palette, which
I
don't know. For me, that really stood out.
Okay. Which we've gone back and forth with the Marvel series with the MCU, because like it did kind of start out kind of muted, and people would complain about like how like drab everything looked, and then so they cranked it up like after Civil War. We had like Thor Ragnarok, and everything got really colorful again.
Right.
Now everyone's just like, oh, I mean, with this one, I don't think like they're responding to anyone complaining about the color.
Right.
But
no, it
works for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Also, how good did Florence Pugh look in that movie? She was like,
no, she's.
They gave her this punk look.
Yeah, I like that.
Out of that whole bunch, she's definitely one of my favorite of the actors.
Well, this is how you do a female-led story in the MCU.
Yeah. Cool.
Like you
Again,
don't
go too much into detail, but yeah.
Well, yeah, cool. but like this is how it's done, you know.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah,
awesome. Just sticking on the other Marvel news. Let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, Kevin Feige is in connection to probably Thunderbolts. Kevin Feige is reportedly leading internal overhaul aimed at getting the Marvel Studios back on track. He wants the future projects not to require audience or to have prior knowledge, which makes kind of a certain amount of sense.
About it, he said that they started to feel like homework, and he said they started to feel like homework for him too.
Yeah,
and he's well versed in this stuff. I know a big comic book fan, but I guess even for him, it's like he has to keep track of all this lore, and he's like, well, it's hard for me to get straight what's going on and to understand what's going on and have a clear picture. It's going to be impossible for the fans who don't have the inside look that he has.
And the feel and the feel to have to see everything, including the TV shows. They are also cutting back on their live action TV shows as well. And same as Lucasfilm is with Star Wars. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot less TV shows, or at least highest of quality TV shows, in the sense of like Andor is, or
Well, I think they had the same problem. I think it was very much of like they announce a project for a character that's new to people, like say a Daredevil or an Ahsoka, and then within that show, not specifically Daredevil, but more Ahsoka, they have storylines that are related to something that goes back 20 years with all this fan service stuff that a new fan wouldn't really get or understand. And I think
that makes sense.
To a casual, Kevin Feige's kind of right. It does feel like homework. They want to watch a new project. They don't have to watch the 20 back issue things to get to that project.
Precisely, yeah. I agree. one of the shows that obviously is not moving forward now is Hawkeye, and I don't know if you
I
read this
actually
with,
I've heard it's still moving forward with Haley Steinfeld.
huh? Oh, with Haley okay, because
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner was turned down the role because they were going to offer him half the amount, of money, yeah, to continue and come back and play the part. It's like, part of me's like, fair enough, but at the same time, I feel like Hollywood needs to kind of back down
I
a
think
little
it's
bit
not the
on
full
the amount they're
story
paying everybody.
either.
Yeah,
He was
Yeah,
kind of
that's the
mad.
whole
He was
thing.
mad because
That's-
after his accident, he's like, "What? I think I'm half the man now."
yeah.
Well, that's what he
I
said.
mean,
That was the full quote.
Sure.
But I think he got paid like $10 million for the first season of Hawkeye.
Right.
And I think for season
That's
two
a
was the
lot.
idea to shift it to Haley Steinfeld being the lead.
Yeah.
I don't know if that number is the exact number. That's what I
Right.
read online.
Yeah.
But I think they wanted to shift it to Haley Steinfeld being the lead, and he would be a more supporting part. So the idea was he would be in less scenes and less leading it, so he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a pay cut; it's more of a role reduction.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess if it is Hawkeye, I guess cancelled might be the wrong word, as Max just said. If they're going to reinvest, but they may cut it altogether still, because again, this whole cutting back on stuff
they
they made.
just go to Young Avengers.
Yeah, I feel like they need
10 mil for the show. I mean, they developed that when Marvel was still peak.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like they
they're
can't
just
afford
like,
to pay.
here you go.
Uh-huh.
That's the other thing about streaming these days is they're not making the same amount of money they were making like during COVID or just before COVID. It's like they were printing money and they were able to give these people especially actors and directors, these giant deals. Like, look at what J.J. Abrams got from Warner Brothers and didn't deliver. Sure. But then also it's like, how do you double down on that? It's like, now that's technically their quote, but how does anyone continue to pay that to make a movie that's profitable?
But then on top of it, then it becomes that's Hollywood's problem now is they just throw a ton of money at somebody who make something that becomes successful, and they throw so much money at them that it's very hard for them to step back and go, well, we can't offer you as much for the following movie. Can you still be in it? And they're going to do exactly what Jeremy Renner did, which is like, no. And that is the case of Hollywood is falling in on itself, I feel.
Yeah, it's crashing.
As part of it. Part of it is because they are paying directors or actors. Granted, they are the star power, and I understand and respect that.
Well, also studio heads, they're getting like $100 million to leave. Like, there's your exit package. Here's $100 million. You didn't perform for us. Take all of our money.
Yeah, there's a lot going on that Hollywood need to kind of fix up and go back to some basics and re-scratch to help rebuild the industry again properly, because it is its own fault that it's falling apart, unfortunately, and that's a totally different story. But it's it's part of the issue. I feel is like huge budget paychecks for actors for the leads kind of thing, and it's
that's what everyone wanted to do a Marvel movie because they were printing money and people didn't even care about wanting to do these monies for fans or clout. They were after these massive paychecks because they were like, you can make $20 million, $40 million, up to like what did the Avengers make in the last Avengers movie? Weren't they getting like $50 million for that for Endgame, something like that?
I'm not too sure.
Like 50, 60, something like that. Yeah. And that's what these actors were after. Everyone wanted to join the MCU because they thought it was gonna be like generational wealth.
Yeah.
And then
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first Avengers, I think like Chris Evans get like 500,000.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's the thing. That's what tanked the MCU is people were chasing money. It was clearly not just actors. It was writers. It was directors. It was people who had no business wanting to do who had no business associating with a Marvel project, jumping on board the Marvel ship because they thought it was a money printing factory.
It just became so bloated too. Like it was like more quantity over quality at one point.
Yeah.
And so like they learned they need to slow down. Think of quality, like the first couple phases. They weren't just like bombarding us with so much Marvel. And I think that's the problem. And the same with Star Wars too. You just like kind of just filled the whole slate and it became bloated and like lost quality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't say it lost quality because the production quality in Andor was the best we've ever seen.
With Andor, but then you got like,
but you can see where the money was
like,
spent. You can see where the money was spent in that.
Everything else was pretty...
Mando season 3, Boba Fett. There's been some heavy lows in Star Wars. There's been some good creative projects within Star Wars. but
But a
I
majority
think
of it
they-
has been pretty lackluster.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
You
good way to
got
put
like
it.
your few things. You got Loki
Yeah,
from Marvel and like Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Great shows.
Yeah.
And like Daredevil, but then like a lot in between that were all right and pretty bad.
No, you're right. Yeah.
For every Miss
don't
Marvel,
live
you
up
have a
to-
Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
That's it. Yeah. And it doesn't live up to.
Moon Knight was actually not bad.
Well,
like,
again, it's a perspective.
as a
thing at
Moon
that
Knight
point,
fan,
though.
it bothered
No,
me. But yeah, I
yeah.
get what you mean.
It's
but
a
as a
perspective
show,
thing.
it was actually pretty good compared
It
to
was.
like, there's
I've
worse-
rewatched it a couple times. It's
There's worse
entertaining.
shows like
Yeah.
like you gotta think of like Secret Invasion or something.
Yeah.
They're worse.
That's our actual. That good point. That's a stinker.
Yeah.
But moving on, there was not really a huge amount of news and bits and pieces that I caught up with in the last 2 weeks or so. But the one thing I did go to see, I know you guys will all be happy about this, I did go to see Revenge of the Sith back in the theaters when it came out again last week. And you know what? It was great to see on the big screen again.
Was there any twists?
Was there any twists? Well, this time Anakin didn't turn to the dark side. No, I'm kidding.
The kids made it out all right. Hell yeah!
Yeah, I just
Did they change?
Just
Did they
concerned with
change
the
anything
younglings.
again?
What's
Was there
that?
any changes? Was there
There
any
was
changes? Like
no,
small
there was no changes. George was
From
not
the
around to
last-
make the
from
changes.
what?
George was
no changes from the original release, or all the changes they've made over DVDs and all that stuff.
There wasn't too
Yeah,
many
what-
changes on Revenge of the Sith that was ever made afterwards. I think. Actually, I don't
I
think
think they
there was
upgraded-
any.
upgraded. I think they upgraded some CGI. I think
Did
that's
they always?
about it.
They changed stuff on all of the movies, right?
Yeah, I feel like everything
yeah.
has like
I think that George Lucas
Yoda,
did some
like
small
or
cleanup
whatever.
stuff, but
The
Yeah,
nose,
yeah, I think it was- yeah.
and that type of.
but once Lucas sold his final product of 1 through to 6 to Disney, that stuff has not been altered that I'm aware of, except for the cleanup for 4K and all that sort of stuff that I'm aware of. But anyway,
They did replace a couple lightsabers with radios.
yeah, the opening weekend made $25 to $30 million.
GT.
Yeah.
They got walkie-talkies.
Yeah, but it did very well in the box office. Like every screen that was in the California area, in LA area, was pretty much nearly sold out. And that's
Yeah,
like I saw it
yeah.
2 p.m. last Thursday before last, when it came out, and it was practically full. And every other screening that evening was completely full and sold out. So it did very well into the following week and made its money back. In fact, overall now, the film has surpassed 900 million worldwide from its original box office release.
Yeah.
So it actually it did pretty well, because I think it was in the 800 million range somewhere. But a re-release, it's the first time in 20 years we had it back on the big screen.
And this movie's also
was-
it's the
it was a
peak
good
of its
film.
nostalgia. Well, it's like
Yeah.
I guess right after the peak. I think a couple years
Yeah.
ago was kind of the peak of its
Yeah.
nostalgia. But I think we're at an age where people turned around in the prequels. I think a lot of younger generation, my generation's really we
Well,
grew up on it, and then the younger generation below me
Yeah.
always kind of had it. And I think
Yeah.
some people in your generation kind of turned around and said we actually kind of like some of this stuff, especially Episode
Yeah.
3. I think Episode 3 is the most likable for
Yeah.
an old school Star Wars fan.
Yeah, for the audience's sake, there was definitely a lot of people in their 20s to 30s, which, of
Yeah.
course, they were kids, at the time when it came out. So it's expected you'd get that kind of age group in the theater. But there was quite a good mixture between kids and, adults like my age and stuff like that were all there to see it. And it was good. I never got the chance to go back and see. Actually, I tried to go back and see it again, and the screen had an issue, and it didn't. They couldn't play it the time I had free to get in.
They
So-
cut you off, Brent. You're like,
They
"That's
cut
enough,
me
Brent."
off. I know.
You've
I
had
would have
enough.
seen it a second time. I would have seen it if I wasn't working. I would have been like every day in that theater.
You're
They
out
said
of AMC.
CBBO.
Everyone's out of AMC.
That was
and
it.
still paid
Yeah.
$20 to go see it.
Yeah. But yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I would have done that. No, it was good to see on the big screen again, and it just still goes back. And whether you like it or despise it, it was still good to see a Star Wars movie on the big screen. And it doesn't matter whether it's something we've seen before. There's something special about that opening crawl, just on the screen. And so
Never gets old.
it never gets old. It's always cool, and it's
All
I
movies
think
like
you
that, just even if it's not Star Wars.
yeah, and you do get to appreciate it with age as well. Uh, Anchorman,
I remember in
you
college
saw,
we were
you saw it the other day?
had a
Cool.
movie night. We put on Star Wars, and we downloaded it
Cool.
illegally from the internet because it was pre-Disney Plus.
Uh-huh.
And we were all excited with the lights down low, the opening crawl starts. I think there was in Turkish or something, and we all just started laughing.
That's funny. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Star Wars Celebration finished, gone, and did very well. There was a lot of cool footage. There's a lot of people I follow who have got some great little videos and stuff that they went up online. Ronan Unchained, who was popped in earlier, he went over there to Japan and has got little video clips and stuff like that worth checking out. Kyle Katarn is another one I follow and have been in touch with, and he posted some great video of some miniatures that were on display there. I can tell you that there is a respect level for the Japanese quality of display and craftsmanship that is related to their booths and the way they set it up. It looked phenomenal the way their floors looked, representing each of the different branches and stuff like that. And I know Hasbro got their booth and all this, but there was something different about the way this stuff looked this time around. Hot Toys had a booth there. Micro Galaxy Squadron had a booth there. There was all these booths that just had some incredible display work on them.
Were they doing those displays where it's like big, nice glass cases? Or like those?
No, that's one of the things. Here's the thing. That was one of the things that Kyle Katarn said, because I was on a podcast last week talking with him about it. He was saying that there is no glass on some of these little miniatures and some of these displays.
That's cool.
And the reality was, he said, it's totally different kind of thing. It's an honor. It's the honor, not honor. Your honor in not touching it kind of experience.
They trust the
animals.
They trust the population.
That's it.
To not mess with things. That's why they have like food machines everywhere that never get vandalized.
Yeah.
I guess Japan culture. They just they don't mess with things. They're not like they're not animals like us.
They're respectful.
Yeah. They can have nice things. We can't.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. No, that's exactly
3 seconds in America that ship would get picked up by a kid and thrown into a ground.
Yeah. Actually, it was on Ronan Unchained. We were both.
The hitchhiking robot.
Yeah.
It lasted like a couple days in the U.S.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they got picked up and then dumped.
Yeah, just it was just destroyed on the roadside.
Was it Philly? It made it to Philly, Chicago.
Oh really?
I think it was Philly, somewhere near the coast.
But anyway, that's the thing. Apparently, there was a lot of things that were not behind glass because there was a honor system of looking and respecting the product and what's being shown without everybody having to put their finger in and touch it, kind of thing. And Americans could learn a lot about that. And yes, Anchorman, I didn't go on Kyle's show on his podcast. We were both guests on Ronan Unchained at the time. But I've been on a couple of times with him. Really cool guy. He's one of Kyle Katarn is one of the now top Star Wars influencers online under the other idiot who people no longer respect anymore. He who will not be named. Anyway, going forward, Rosario Dawson posted an image from Ahsoka season 2.
Wonder what that's from.
Yeah, go figure, huh? But they're shooting in England. They were going straight from Japan over to England to start shooting season 2. So apparently,
I think that might be from a Team Rocket movie.
Team Rocket film. But yeah, we know
her hair is more asymmetrical.
Exactly.
Looks like the furries must be freaking out though.
The furries must be freaking out. It's a shadow shot, okay? But Rosario Dawson posted on her interlink. I didn't pull any photos. She's got like bruises already down her arm from fighting and fight sequences. So she's training. This was something I saw this morning. It was kind of cool. The screenshot used Robot Chicken Boba Fett stop motion puppet went up for auction
on Heritage. That's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think it. Yeah, I believe it went for like $5,000 or something like that. Apparently,
Oh
or
wow.
it was sitting at
Not bad.
$5,000. Yeah, which is kind of funny. So yeah, being July 4th, Disney parks have started dropping stuff. Mara Jade's
Canon.
lightsaber, of course.
That was actually there when we were there.
Oh, you were there? When were you there?
When we were there
Oh, when we were
last
there.
month
Oh, okay.
Oh,
at
okay.
Oh, yes.
Disney.
WonderCon.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it was too. Yeah, they started dropping that, but then hang on a second, I pulled it up. Oh, I've lost it. Um,
I've seen a lot of people buying those Mara Jade lightsabers.
yeah,
A
good
lot,
for
a
you.
lot of
looking light.
Mara Jade cosplays in the
It's
last
a
couple
cool look.
weeks.
It's a
Yeah.
cool looking lightsaber. It's got like the
They.
window. It's got the windshield
Yeah.
wipers on it.
Yeah. What?
It does.
Yeah.
Look, bring it back up again.
Oh, hang on. I lost the image.
I've always been a fan of the tube shape.
Yeah, look at the top right there. They're like
Oh
sliced
yeah. You
windshield
call the
wipers.
windshield? Oh, okay. All right,
They
I got
are. That's what they were
Oh, okay.
on Anakin's original lightsaber.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are windshield wipers. Come on,
That's
Brent.
it. Yeah. They've released. They dropped Balin Scrolls one. I thought I pulled the image and somehow I can't find it now. So, but Balin Scrolls lightsaber is actually up for sale and all that. I'll
Well,
go into some
speaking of-
merchandise stuff.
Speaking of May the 4th, did you
Mm-hmm.
guys see what the White House posted on Instagram?
Whoa.
Oh
no.
God! The one with freaking Trump and the dot with the Sith lightsaber.
Red lightsaber.
No, are you serious?
Yeah,
here.
they're not. They're not denying it anymore.
Whoa.
not
No, yeah, we
denying
are
it.
the Sith.
The
I gotta
Emperor.
Here's
look
the
that up.
Senate.
The
Wait a
Emperor
minute,
has
what is it?
spoken.
What is it?
Oh, here, I can share it.
Ugh,
That's actually so funny.
I gotta see that.
it's
Here,
ridiculous. It's not funny. It's embarrassing.
Here, Brent, let me.
I know, but it's
Click on
so
mine.
called. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
It's
Ah.
ridiculous. Yeah, this is official
It's
White
AI.
House.
It's an
Yeah,
AI,
AI.
image, but they didn't
Yeah.
even bother with like the red lightsaber.
Yeah,
what
It's-
with the eagle over either shoulder and his muscles? Holy crap!
It's-
So then they
It's-
see him
it's
as like some
ridiculous.
like Rambo type dude when he was like, "No, I'm not fighting in a war. I have
Yeah.
bones first. I'm gonna stay home and eat McDonald's for the next 60 years."
That is
I know,
insane.
right?
If that's real and
Yeah.
that's really on the White House,
Well,
It's in the
It-
official
it's
White
in,
House.
it's yeah AI. Yeah, it's the same way he did the freaking Pope. I'm not going to go into that.
But yeah, it's the official White
incompetent
House
human being.
account for
I was-
Yeah.
wow.
Instagram. It's
I was
funny.
kind of hoping one of us wouldn't be able to make it today, so I could say they were at the conclave.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So it dropped last night. I know you guys haven't seen it yet. Tales of the Underworld.
How was it?
There's two story arcs going on. One with Ventress, one with Cad Bane. I'll start with Cad Bane. Cad Bane's arc was good, but it is very stereotypical of the Western man in the black hat kind of thing, and it has that kind of vibe, obviously, to it because that's exactly what Cad Bane is.
It's kind of on the nose.
But
huh?
it's kind of on the nose. But they did leave an opening that I actually did enjoy that would warrant further stories of Cad Bane. And the reality is, in Star Wars Clone Wars, we got little pieces of Cad Bane's arc, but we never really got a full mixture of... Like, Ventress was used way more often than Cad Bane was. We also know how Cad Bane's story ended, and Ventress has been rebirthed into a new story. Ventress's story was probably the best of the tales of arcs next to Qui-Gon, next to Count Dooku's arc. I really enjoyed Ventress's arc, and they do pick up after the novelization where she dies in Dark
Okay, they do
Disciple.
mention it then.
They do mention
Okay,
Dark
that's
Disciples.
what I was the most
elements.
curious about.
Yeah, but I won't tell you what is going on. You'll just simply see it, the story unfold.
I feel like she should have been in Mando while they had the chance. She was a character that was so primed for that
Sure.
series.
Yeah.
That was your live action. Hell yeah.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen her in live action yet. But basically,
that's what I mean. Like, out of all those Rebels and Clone Wars characters, I feel like she would have fit that spot almost as well as Ahsoka did. Maybe even better or something.
Without going too much into backstory and everything like that, but basically, she had a equal amount of story creation to the character that Ahsoka Tano had over the course of the years. We just haven't come to Ahsoka Tano's end of story. We did come to Ventress's end of story, but now it's been extended, which is quite typical of the Star Wars universe. If they like a character enough, they're going to find a way to bring them back.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to go into any details about that story arc, but they set up an even more interesting Ventress, I feel, of where she could be going than what she was even before that, Max. And that's saying something.
With Filoni, though, we kept talking about how it's like he's always worried about the next project and not what he's currently doing. It's always like the story will be good, but then it'll always be sprinkled of like, but wait till we see what's going on down the line.
No, there's just I'm not gonna, again, I can't go into too much detail, but
yeah, I gotta see it still.
It's gonna be, it's taking a perspective we've already seen before in the Star Wars universe and just saying what would happen if this character was in that perspective, and how will that play out for this particular character. And I'm actually invested in seeing what could be kind of fun to see eventually, hopefully in live action or more animation in the future. But I'm even more invested in seeing a Ventress animated series, even over the more animated series that's coming up now, that's been announced, because I really want to know this story that is taken on. I really did enjoy what they did in this Tales of the Underworld for Ventress. And as I say, Cad Bane's story left you with a nice little twist, which is warranted to be further told, but they still haven't told us the story we all want to see, which is like Boba Fett and Cad Bane, and we know about this from the book of Boba Fett. They haven't told the story yet.
That canceled.
Canceled
episode.
Well, not canceled. It was simply because he sold to Disney. The episode was never made. It was canceled. But there is room for a really cool arc that we need to see of Cad Bane and Boba Fett. Because it's all about who's the most powerful, best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Now, for me as a kid, Boba Fett was always considered that, right back from the action figure that came on the back of the set when it was advertising for the holiday special, and it was this mysterious bounty hunter that it kept on saying, the mysterious bounty hunter, all throughout that. And so, how did Boba Fett take that title from Cad Bane? Was always my question. Or anyway,
who determines this anyways?
That's the other question, though. Who does determine that? Do the characters determine that?
Self-proclaimed best bounty hunter, most feared bounty
hunter. They're all going to proclaim that they are the best in the galaxy, though.
No, he's the only one with a speaking role. Like at the time,
it's defined by three categories. You got feats, you have contracts completed, and you have who's challenged you. Yeah, I think those prove best bounty hunter.
But who's challenged? Who's challenged you is probably the main top one, because if you can take out the one who's challenged you that was better than you, then
that's why I put that
you deserve that role.
Separately than feats, because that's a different thing. It's not like you taking a guy from Hoth to wherever in a certain amount of time. This is like that's kind of the whole thing with Star Wars bounty hunters. Hey. Like, if you kill the guy who everyone says is the best, you're the best.
I mean, on camera, it'd probably be Din Djarin, and we've seen do the most legwork as a bounty hunter compared to anyone else.
Yeah. Just going back to Ahsoka's end storyline. Well, Filoni's alive with the end story. Ahsoka's story will never end because she can become a Force ghost, and she can become.
That's how season 2 is going to end.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Because they've got.
Because Filoni wants to set. I think that's the idea for the Rey thing. Is they want all these Force. They're gonna probably have a Force ghost.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, she can't
council.
be a Jedi.
I think that's the one thing that most people kind of agree on is that's probably going to happen as a Force council. Force council of Jedi, and I think Ahsoka is going to be not on the council, but an advisor to the council.
You talk about within the element of the dead Force.
Well, the element in terms of the Ray movie, in the Ray movie, the
The ring.
upcoming Ray.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, is she going to be around during that?
Well, I mean,
I
Anakin could
think she's
technically
gonna
be
be-
around too if their force. No, I think if their force goes, then yes.
No, but I
that's
mean
what I'm
like
talking about.
an alive
this-
Ahsoka during like the sequels.
No, she would be dead by that point.
Yeah. Just by
Just
age.
of age. Yeah. That's why I think they're gonna
Post.
be doing a little bit of a fan service twist
Yeah.
in the new Ray movie, where they're gonna have a council of Force ghosts featuring all the legacy characters. People.
That's an interesting thought.
Kinda
I mean,
want
that's
back.
the way to go. I mean, it's the War Between Worlds leaves you open for that kind of
could-
I
otherworldly
do think they've
force
been kind of
element.
building to that for years.
Yeah.
They could change the lifespan of her species.
Uh-huh.
You know, she's not a human. Like,
No, they could.
yeah, so
They
like,
actually live to
they-
be 4,000.
they
That'd
do
be
live.
such a Filoni thing to do.
No,
Yeah, right?
That
Right?
race. No. That race does live for about 200 years. So yes,
Yeah,
she
so there you go.
could be around for a period of time. But
I could see them doing that. I could see Filoni doing that.
But no, I feel like Ahsoka needs to physically. She needs to physically leave the realm of her body.
Yeah, I think her ultimate.
To extend the character to another level of, and that's again, it goes back to really good, ancient Japanese and ancient Chinese kind of philosophy and story of like the
I actually
spirit
think she goes
world
back
and this
to
and that.
Anakin.
See, well, that's the
I
thing.
think
we got
her whole
Anakin in the
story's
spirit
about-
world.
Well, Anakin told a story about turning to the dark side. Her whole story is about not wanting to associate between the light and the dark. And I think her ending is going to be finding the light in a different way that Anakin did, but going into that Force Ghost plane of the realm
Right.
between whatever.
Yeah. Well, she's still
Because,
the element of the
yeah.
soul of the sister. I mean, she represents the soul of the sister. Anakin represents the soul of the father now, and I think Balin Scrolls are being created to become the soul of the son, which is the dark force, the dark side of the force. Again, really intense kind of stuff.
Jar Jar's the son, and it's pretty obvious. I can't believe you haven't.
Jar
noticed that
Jar.
yet.
Whatever. I guess we'll find that out in Ahsoka season 2, but they're shooting that, of course. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I have to say about Tales of the Underworld. If you do get the chance, definitely worth checking out. I liked it a lot better than Tales of the Empire, which was Morgan Elsbeth and
Barasofi?
Barasofi. Those arcs were okay, but they weren't that strong for me.
it's kinda weird.
They weren't spectacular.
Yeah, they weren't
Wait,
spectacular.
so in this one, do we find out where Cam Bane gets his hat at least?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a store. It's a store. He
there-
walks through the store, he goes, "That's a mighty fine hat."
Haberdashery.
there
The
is
haberdashery.
there is some nice backstory to Cad Bane about where he came from, because none of it is Cad Bane from the Clone Wars onwards.
It's all
that
before,
was
like
it is before, yes, but it is cliche to the man in the black hat kind of concept of the Western, and again, it was good, it was well done, but the Ventress story arc left me hanging and wanting a lot more from where they left off, and I think they purposely set that up to give you that we'll be either getting more animation around Ventress, or God forbid a live action movie or a show.
Because she's like they're humanizing her. She's introduced as like a monster.
But from the Clone
she's
Wars,
kinda
she's had
like-
the most.
She has hair now.
Yeah,
She's, like,
but it's not even
humanized
that.
A lot more.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's like her character, even from the Clone Wars, she was a Jedi Padawan who lost her master, ended up by being taken in by Count Dooku, twisted in the mind of Count Dooku, towards the dark side to a certain degree, was tried to be assassinated by Dooku, left the Sith Order, so to speak, became a bounty hunter for a period of time, and I don't know her story.
That's what I'm talking about.
And fell
Like-
in love with a Jedi at the end
Yeah,
of it
and
before.
but
in the
that's
book
that's
of Dark
exactly
Side.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Like
Right, what do you mean?
you like start out as just like this kind of antagonist who's kind of scary looking, and now she's gotten a lot more character arc.
Oh
and you hate
yeah,
her, like,
again,
so
as
much,
much
and
as
that's what I
Ahsoka's character, and they've
That's
given
what I'm
her
talking
even
about.
more after this,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And so like she's a favorite, and so there's like
Yeah.
they point a lot of eggs in this basket.
Sure, yeah, but
Give
it's
her a
also
cute haircut.
yeah, but the story is worth telling, and even if you don't have any back knowledge of who she was, where they set it up as to who she could become is just as exciting. So you're really starting off with this brand new character. And again, I can't say too much because it kind of tells you.
So let me ask you this: You think she's hot now?
No, she's so white. She's so white.
Don't be racist.
No, she's a Dathomirian witch. So at the same time, it's like
you don't think they can be hot though?
They're very goth girls. I'm not a big goth fan.
Oh man, you're an outlier there then.
Look how white she is. Look, see.
I don't discriminate. You know.
No, okay, but at the end of the day, she's a very interesting character, and Tales of the Underworld enhances that interesting character even more so. It did for me at least. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of it because it is worth checking out. And again, each episode's only about 15 minutes long, so it's actually an easy sit through kind of thing. Let's talk about Andor for a bit, guys. It's put over 300 million subscribers.
How do they have
apparently.
that? I never believed that.
I'm trying to understand that myself. That's why I brought up the article.
I mean, they're claiming that they got a million more than because each, what is it? It's like a $12 a month subscription fee.
Again, so this is worldwide.
20 million people worldwide subscribe just for Andor,
and I don't get that. Right?
If they're counting anyone who subscribed or resubscribed
maybe they're looking
that
at
time.
Yeah.
Maybe they're looking at what they're watching right after they subscribe.
Yeah. That wouldn't even make sense.
Chris would hit. Of course, Chris would hit.
Yeah, Chris knows what I'm talking about.
Sorry, yeah. Going back to Andor and
I don't believe those numbers. I think those streamers are just making up figures.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense though. I mean, like it's so good that like I believe that, you know.
It definitely. I mean, the first one definitely pulled an audience, but the second season for me, Elijah, what's your thoughts so far on Andor season 2? We're halfway through it.
I'm liking it. It's all really well done. I mean, you know, I don't think there's a bad episode in there. So
I agree.
It's great. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I like seeing where it's going. It seems it's nice that it's really broken up by like these 3-part, you know, sections. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that.
I like the slow burn of this storytelling.
Yeah.
You know?
But it does wrap up into the end of the 3rd episode as a good 3-part story.
Would this have been easier to watch the first season if they did it like this, you think?
I think so. I really do like this kind of format of like segmenting the show into parts. It really kind of works for me.
Did the first season drag because we had to watch each one by one, or would you think you would have enjoyed it better if you saw 3 episode arcs every week?
I mean, they even though season 1 was still in the same time period, they were broken up into 3 episode arcs, weren't they? So I still go back to what I said about what I personally didn't enjoy as much about season 1 of Andor, and that was that it needed that little bit of gravitas of humor to break apart the intensity of the darkness of what the story was had to tell, because it still is Star Wars at the end of the day. And I think season 2 so far has hit that right spec of a little bit of humor to help us deal with the darkness of that drama that they are actually putting into the show. And I think it works a lot better structurally with that in mind in Star Wars itself.
If that's the only critique, that means it's like relatively good, because if that's like the one thing you're complaining about in the show,
and a few more droids,
that's a really privileged.
But that's nothing. That's a nothing.
That's a privileged complaint of a show.
Yeah, correct.
That it's everything else is in place, but just these little pieces that would have made it a little better.
Yeah.
But I mean, still solid all around, except for I like my droids.
Yeah,
I'd like to see like some gonks here and there, but yeah.
Max, where are you sitting on this?
I mean, I've been liking it.
Yeah, you just liking it, or
I don't think Andor's blown me away. I don't think the first season did it either. It didn't blow me away like it did everyone else did. I think it's a really well made show.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly what I'm always looking for in a Star Wars project. I think at some points, the commitment to the 3 separate storylines really kind of drag on me.
Interesting. See, I mean, when you look at George Lucas's storytelling, he'd always start off with your group of characters in the beginning, then they'd split up, and then they'd come
Well,
back
that's not the
together.
problem. I think
Yeah.
that's not what I mean. It's
Right.
every episode. There's the A, B, and the C plot. And
Sure.
it's Andor, the Empire people,
Yeah.
and Mon Mothma,
Mothma.
and then Luthen kind of flows
He's-
between
yeah.
all three
Sure.
plots.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes they just don't have enough for each character to do. And they'll go back to Mon Mothma and she's dancing and it's the cinematography looks great and it's the show
Right.
and the emotion's great and you're getting what's going on in the episode, but there's just not much for her to do. And it's the same kind of thing with Andor, with the rebels, or not the rebels, the what did Elijah call them? The campers.
The campers,
in the first
yeah.
episode of the new season.
It just seemed like a camping group. So
That was
guys
my
on
weakest
there.
story link of this
Because
season.
they had
so far.
nothing for Andor to do in the first episode.
Right.
They had everyone else's storylines mapped out. They're so committed to the A, B, and C story motif
Sure.
that they're just like, we'll just throw them in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing that drags on the show for me. It feels like sometimes they just have plots just for the sake of having plots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's
K2SO.
very
I
much.
got a feeling you won't be seeing K2SO until at least the last quarter of the story arc. I feel like he might be a more recent thing to Rogue One rather than a character that's been around for 2 years.
I think it'll be in the last part.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The last part, but not
Speaking
next
of-
week's. Yeah.
Speaking of K2SO, I saw like an interview with Tony Gilroy when they pitched in the show.
Yeah.
They wanted just a K2SO and Andor adventure themed kind of like
Oh,
show.
really?
Huh.
Yeah, they're just like them going on different adventures, and he was like, "Nah, dude."
It's like, that's not the sort of Star
That's
Wars
not-
I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the kind of story I want to tell. That would actually kill the whole story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I
man.
hadn't read that, but that's interesting.
I'm a huge fan of Andor. I like what it's doing. I like the type of storytelling that it's doing. It's kind of the fleshed out, kind of themey stuff that I'd want from Star Wars and type of stuff I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So like, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm on board 100%.
Since we're all
Fanboy.
kind of in that production design, world building look, how freaking amazing was the production design in
It's
this?
the best I've seen, like in
Great.
the whole
Really amazing.
Star Wars series, dude.
Did you guys
Yeah.
watch this? The
It's
creating of the
crazy.
Andor season 2 worlds. There was.
I
there was
No,
a
I didn't
little-
watch that.
It's about 6 minutes long, but it shows you
good.
some behind the scenes of all these set pieces, and they are huge. Like the whole courtyard is an entire 360-degree courtyard with shops embedded into them on
Wow.
on a open outdoor.
Well, did you see what
backlot.
Last of Us built for season 2?
No, I didn't actually.
They built that whole town.
Yeah.
Where is
It's
this, Brent? Is it
practical.
in England?
This was. I don't know exactly
Are they
where.
doing this?
I'm not sure. I imagine this is somewhere on one of the back lots of England. But
Yeah, that's.
they did
crazy.
shoot. They did shoot around parts of different parts of Europe as well, because we can tell from the landscape. Mon Mothma's landscape was Barcelona in Spain. I think there were pieces here that were shot in. There were some scenes here that were shot. Oh no, the Opera House is a place in. I want to say it was Paris, but it wasn't Paris. It was one of those places there.
Yeah, that's what's nuts. It's like the amount of thought put into the production design of everything is just
Oh yeah.
part of the storytelling as well. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even just like the architecture itself
Mhm.
helps, like with the themes and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like
Oh, yeah.
something that
This stuff is gorgeous.
got this much love put into it. You don't really
Yeah.
see much these days.
Yeah.
Well, especially in an IP like Star Wars. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
it's
even
nice.
your
It's
hand-
nice, refreshing.
Yeah,
Say that again, Elijah.
even on your hand props and little tools and stuff they use that they do close ups
Mhm.
Oh
on.
yeah. Well, there was the musical instruments
I'm saying all
last
the hand
week
props,
in
the
the
glasses,
week before.
yeah,
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Star Wars I like to see. You know, like the
Oh, yeah.
kind of world building.
100%.
And
And, like,
it's
yeah.
not that we don't get it over here. It's just different quality of production, how things are made over here to compared to England when they made this stuff.
Yeah, I feel like every other
Ah.
Star Wars show to me is like fast food, and this is kind of like an elevated 5-course meal.
Yeah,
that we're
I
getting
can't
from Andor.
remember. Andor one. I want to say it was only one or two. Wasn't that many, unfortunately.
Wasn't it just production? It was like technical
Yeah,
endings, like production
yeah,
design, and
yeah,
I don't think it was any actors,
yeah,
directors one.
yeah. I mean, it really should be up there for production design because production design was insane, and costume design is just fantastic in this season too. But I mean, I am enjoying the characters. I'm enjoying the development of Bix in this second. Let's just talk about the second arc right now. But sorry, Bix's
Water.
character arc. We might go into some mild spoilers here, guys, so just be aware. Bix's character, I really like what they did with this character. They took her down this dark path that could have gone either way. I was expecting it to go the darker side of where they could have taken it for her character. I felt like she could have been self-destructive to a point of death, and
She came close to like drug use. You never
Right,
see
well, that's it.
PTSD like portrayed so much in the Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. But I am glad that they also Gilroy has not let go of this element of the idea that hope is what Star Wars is about. The fact, and George Lucas always said, the idea is about, there is some sort of goodness at the end of all the darkness, kind of thing, and the fact that she got her little bit of hope at the end of this second arc,
some redemption.
BB3 Redemption, was fantastic. I loved it and didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah. They made Gorst such a gross character that you just wanted to get his comeuppance,
Oh yeah, no, totally.
It's like, oh god, some Nazi stuff.
Which is the
they're really selling the Nazism of
Oh yeah,
like
totally,
what the Empire is like.
Yeah. Gorst, of course, is the torturer who tortured her in season 1. Yeah, and she's been nightmaring about.
Yeah, she's got his promotion.
Yeah, but the other cool thing is like there is a lot of similarities. You've got this whole connection with Bix and Andor, and then you got quite the reverse connection with Cyril and Deidre. And yet they play opposite each other so well, of exact opposites, and as to why and who they really are.
That's a good parallel to Andor and Biggs.
Yeah,
it's like just like another couple in the opposing team.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, it was a great scene. It was a great sequence. We also got the return of Saul Guerrera. And
so we learned like why he is the way he is. He's huffing.
Yeah, he's huffing, and
he's huffing right on like regularly.
And
because it reminds him of his sister.
And of course his sister. This is the arc of his character. Like on the far left, there is what he was on the first episode we saw him in Clone Wars, right at the end of season 6, I think it was, and that's where his sister dies. In that.
With his sister, it's like the wrong sibling died. And now he has to carry this rebellion.
That was it.
And so he's just like, my sister.
Yeah. Well, she was the fighter. Yeah. He was the one who had to step up to the plate. And
he had to step up, but she was the real leader.
Yeah.
And now, like, Saw Gerrera is just kind of filling those shoes, and she was the wrong one. Like, we lost the wrong one.
Correct. Yeah.
It would have been like different if she survived.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And now he's kind of just coping with like the loss of her and still dealing with that PTSD, where he's just like huffing right on because it reminds them of their old like where he's from. It's crazy.
And also the just the performance alone by Forrest Whitaker, he is fantastic at that character. But you could also see those subtle changes from where he was a couple of years ago, where he was when he popped up in Star Wars Rebels, because he voiced that character in Rebels. He wasn't the voice of the earlier Saw Gerrera in the Clone Wars, but you've seen this development of his voice and pronunciation right through to Rogue One. And yeah, that whole... I like the fact that it also is part of the thing that's helped destroy his lungs on the inside, as he said, and he's got more apparatus by the time he gets to Rogue One.
Rogue One is like...
that's it.
Leg. Died of like Star Wars diabetes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And again, it's just all these subtle little moments that allow the audience to fill in the gaps they don't have to be hand-filled. This wasn't, handheld. This wasn't an accident that Saw Gerrera was in. This is self-inflicted.
And that's what I'm liking about the show. It trusts us
to be
as
smart
an audience. Like, doesn't treat us like kids, where they explain, like, the exposition isn't like thick and heavy. It's very lean.
Yeah.
And like they trust us to like put the dots together,
Yeah.
Well, I think out of all the Star Wars shows, this is the one that's objectively not exactly for children.
Yeah. They introduced
it's taking advantage of the mature rating that it has.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Kind of like Daredevil. Well, Daredevil did more. But
yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But see someone's face head get smashed.
Yeah.
It's not for kids.
Yeah. But they still have enough entertainment that it's not so dark, and there's a little bit of humor edge that you have to add into this darkness. For either Daredevil or this, you need that little bit of humor that helps you balance the darkness. And again, that's why season 1 for me I was less interested in, because it did have way less kind of light elements to help you through that. Dagar, which is the planet that we saw. Remember when we first saw the name Dagar on last week, and I'm like, that seems familiar. I didn't even click, but
I didn't even. The name didn't even look familiar to me. It was like the
name was familiar. I just completely forgot.
I never heard them call it that before.
Yeah,
but I saw it, and it's like exactly.
Yeah, and it was of course from Rogue One. The Force Awakens. Yeah. So it's kind of cool that we get this introduction to all these abandoned bases that.
Well, it's cool because like Leia has all this knowledge on all these old rebel bases, so she's taking them to these places, and we're kind of like fitting them in to the world.
Yeah,
it's the type of that's the right type of world building that Star Wars needs. Is the way Andor's doing it.
Yeah. Let's see who else we got there. Oh, Luthen's.
He had Plo Koon's face.
Yeah. Well, he had the mask. Yeah, that stuff's been there since season 1. That stuff never sold. I mean, come on.
So his species, is that just so he could be out like walking around other people? Like,
absolutely. Come on, we saw it at the party. He literally will go to the party or be invited to an imperial thing and just simply draw in that information. Or yeah,
I think it's about Plo Koon. I think he's asking, does Plo Koon need that to breathe?
Oh, that.
That's what I'm talking about. Like
I'm just saying. Oh, okay.
Like you see them. I've never seen that species without that.
Oh yeah,
that's why I said he took his face, because it's always like just such a part of his face.
Yeah. I threw that in there because it was just a funny moment. It was like, okay,
and it is very integrated into his face. So yeah, I can see how they just ripped his face off. Jeez,
that was my first thought when I saw that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he died a violent death in Revenge of the Sith when he gets shot out of
Doesn't he get shot out of the sky? Like, that means
basically,
his body crashed into, what was he, on Coruscant, I think?
No. He was on it was just some different world, some alien world he was fighting.
It means he crashed, his body was burning, and then some droid was like, or some, or not
no, it wasn't a droid. No, it wasn't a droid. It was the clones. It was Order 66.
That's what I said. Clone Trooper would go and rip his thing off of his face.
Yeah. Anyway.
And be like, you can sell this, boss.
You think that's Plo Koon's or just like another one from like?
Oh, it's Plo Koon's. Come on, look at it. It's definitely Plo Koon's. And of course, that's Amidala's. Anyway, it was a small thing. I just want. I mean, again, we saw it in season 1, but it just never sold. It's been sitting in the shop in season 1.
Well, we know that he's got we know that he has counterfeits. Mm-hmm. So who even knows if any of that's real?
Well, it was never proven that the counterfeit
he sells
that
the
device.
$1.
No. That was never proven that he actually sold the counterfeit piece to what's his name?
I think it's pretty implied that it's stuff.
I think it's implied.
Real. He seems like the kind of guy that would sell Princess Amidala's headdress and then pull another one out of the bag.
I don't think so. I think he would have been. It would have been
Brent's
legit. Why would he risk? Why would he risk selling something as counterfeit if it would mean that something else that he was trying to set up as a spy device?
Brent sounds like you bought something from him.
Oh, good point. Okay,
right? Who's trying to? You should buy one of her headpieces, dude.
We get Edie back. Anyway, moving on from Andor, or into other parts of Andor, we get Edie back for a little bit this episode as well. That actress is great. I enjoy the character. Yeah,
stuck in FaceTime with her son.
She was stuck in FaceTime with her son, but
I like to hear her point of view on like the propaganda.
Again, that's what they're doing so well. They're making it feel like, I
What did
guess
they call them?
current issues.
What did they call those propagandists? Like enlightened. The guys in the first
from the first part, yeah. I can't remember exactly.
The PR dudes.
Yeah.
Like they're just all that
yeah.
kind of propaganda that they're doing to kind of just like it's a lot of that.
I believe they call them influencers.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's like a word they call them something else. Like it is the influencers, enlighteners, or something like that. I forgot what they're called. Anyone from chat knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Chime in, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very surgical. It's fun seeing like the Empire have to work surgically like this, so they could because it gives them like they want the Death Star, so they don't have to be working like this anymore. You know?
Right.
So it gives them the motivation. It's like, all right, we got to be really surgical and like kind of plant these seeds everywhere. But once we get this Death Star, we don't have to do any of that anymore.
But even
like, threaten them, you know.
But even in that room,
it shows the motivation of why they want the Death Star to be made and what it's for. It makes sense.
But even in the room of the ISB agents, like I think the only one who would know anything about the Death Star is what's his name, who's in charge of that. I don't think any of the other ISB.
No, but I know what I mean. But I know what you mean. But like that's why the Empire wants the Death Star so bad, because they don't have to waste their time doing this. What we're seeing in the show.
No, absolutely
is what I'm saying.
And why build two when you can? Why build one when you can build two at the cost of one? Contact. It's probably what.
But it gives like the Empire, like you see their motivation.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to work as conniving as the rebels do. You know, because there's still a lot of like thought and like, you know, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
But once you have like a death machine that you can just point at them, you don't have to do any of this like propaganda. And stuff like that anymore.
It doesn't really make much sense to you. You could just rule with fear.
Yeah, they figured out how they could just do that. And that's what the Death
Star blew up Alderaan one time.
So if anything, it's justifying them making the Death Star.
Sure.
You know, that's also what this show is contributing.
Oh yeah, a heavy hand. That's it. You know, Elijah, you mentioned before about the rebels from last week's episode, the first week, I should say. The ones who are on the planet who were useless. What do you think of these guys, the French resistance element on this one? This past arc.
I like that. I mean, it's good to see these different rebels and all, you know, not all just British people. I don't know. It's just.
That's such a good point.
Yeah,
it's like they're all Brits. Okay, what's going on? They must live in a really small area, and like how
the bad guys are the bad guys are the Brits.
Yeah. Well, bad guys have the more of the proper British accent.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's just more expanding world building, and I really liked that group of rebels.
Yeah, it gives us a good. It's like cultural context.
Yeah,
you know, like something familiar that we've like had in history, so you get the idea of what is going on in this world. And the cultural context kind of fills in of like what is going on here and how the people feel about everything that's going on. So
but you can also see that they're a flawed rebel cell at this point too, because they're bound to fail because they are too loose with their lips and information.
They're not willing to sacrifice like Luthen and Andor are willing to do.
But then you got the complete reverse with Saw Gerrera, who is willing to sacrifice.
He's like the other side of
amounts.
He's the other side of the spectrum. But these guys, they're running meetings outside of their like stores that they've had for generations. You know, there is a lot for them to lose because this is their home too. Everyone else like is kind of just left their home or like is from somewhere else.
But these guys Star Destroyer.
But these guys have like they're rooted, you know, and so there is only so much that they could sacrifice, which is pretty much everything. And we're gonna find that out because they're all probably gonna lose everything.
And
that's what's kind of sad about it, because they're still in the comfort of their own home, so they're not quite as removed as Luthen and Andor or anyone else, because they're still like trying to protect something and hold on to like the traditions that they have. So they're kind of like, you can't really blame them for like how not ready they are for how brutal they need to be.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, we'll get to see that. I'm going to assume next week. Any thoughts on the Rebel Souls from this point, Max?
I don't know. They were fine.
They were fine. Well, I think we are getting diverse
fine.
compared to last week where we had the
Yeah.
most weakest Rebel cell.
It
Compared
was
to
good to
Rebels,
have-
where we've seen the Rebel cell and other cells in the Rebels animated series, you've got all these little cells across the galaxy that are working that need leadership, and we
But-
are seeing what's going to happen and why we need the leadership come to front.
Say what you want about like the campers on Yavin, but watching how they are working and how they're dealing with things does remind me of like the leftist movement in the US or like even the Democrats.
Right.
Because everyone's just kind of struggling to keep power.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of just like detrimental to any of their movement.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like really interesting that they included that, because even like movements within the universe who are on the right team are still struggling internally, which happens all the time.
Yeah. This is a good this is a good point here.
That.
The Gormans, if the Jedi was still around, the Gormans would have needed Jedi protection.
Well, this is what I actually really liked about that first era of new Marvel Star Wars books when it took place right after A New Hope, and it was showing the rebellion under Luke and Leia's leadership, along with all the other big rebel leaders, really taking the fight to the Empire after A New Hope, and they're still scrappy underdogs. They're the scrappy underdogs fighting back at that point, and that was a cool era to see. 'Cause the movies kind of you get to see it more in the second one, but after A New Hope, it's a really interesting point where the power struggle is just starting, and you get to see the Empire just start falling back on their heels. They just lost the Death Star, they haven't built the second one yet, and it's cool to see Luke in a leadership position, actually leading rebels around the galaxy. I wish we could focus more on that era in between those movies more, but it doesn't seem like Star Wars will ever really get back to that.
Yeah. I get that, Anchorman. ADHD might have been a little slow for season 1 for me a little bit too. But season 2, I am getting into it. I think only because I'm really very familiar with Star Wars Rebels, and that animated show had helped me get the vibe of how closer we are getting to the point in time of the rebellion, and what I saw on there is connecting much better in my brain for season 2. Andor himself, I mean, Diego Luna has been fantastic. See him kind of just jump around this character now and becoming very inspired by
Varian Sky.
Yeah. But he's been very, very, very inspired by
Luthen.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too. He was more like Luthen, but for the good and the bad. And I think that's interesting to see. Is you get to see how being part of the rebellion does kind of change you.
Yeah,
but it idealizes you in ways, but also forces you to become more of a realist in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
But I think for first season, Andor would have probably tried to save all those people, all the campers,
and failed. He would have failed.
Yeah, he would have failed. I think season 2, Andor learned, I can't save these people. They're in their own.
Can't save everybody from themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's getting a lot more brutal as
and that felt more like a Luthen decision. Like you basically
Sorry.
Go on.
So you basically hear Luthen in his ear telling him, "Get the fuck out of there," Andor. These people aren't trying to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also.
Sorry.
Sorry. No,
go on. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. I'm jumping to the next step.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I think a theme that they do push on this season too is like the level of like comfort you have to sacrifice to actually fight and be a rebel.
Yeah.
Because like even for like the first thing he says, like the girl at that test base, she's like, I had fun here. He's like, I know. Like we're people are comfortable. And I think like Tay, like the Mon Mothma's friend, he's in a very comfortable position, but his involvement in the rebellion kind of like flipped up his world, and he can't hang.
Yeah.
He can't hang with that discomfort. But revolutions are uncomfortable, and you have to sacrifice these comforts that are given by the status quo to kind of break away from that for better tomorrow that you may not even experience.
Yeah.
And so this level of sacrifice that needs to be given is like, I don't know, it's hard to like perceive from the normal person, you know, and so that's why a lot of people struggle to get on board because they don't realize how much they have to give.
Yeah. Well, this kind of goes to the segue to the next section with Luthen and Andor being kind of like, you need to walk away from this. The fact that Luthen wants Gorman to burn, and he needed to continue having somebody there that he'd send in Val and Cinta to continue that operation, to make them get to the point where things are going to burn. From this,
send in some Aldani alums.
Yeah, that's it. And look at that! Like, this shot is a yin and yang of those two characters, which is so fantastic. I didn't even catch this when we watched it live until I saw this photo later on.
It works better when you see it in that framing.
Yeah,
it was it was so tragic because Cinta was already she was willing to be on board with their relationship, and then
yeah, there's a lot of people very upset about the lesbian relationship that got cut short so quickly soon after getting them back together again. But it's only to make a point that Val is the one who's going to be furthering the story in an arc that apparently is motivating her character, and it's like, but according to Gilroy, so. Yeah, I mean, I would like they're a good team, but also not everyone's going to survive this show. So
yeah, I mean not everyone's going to survive the movie after the show either.
Yeah,
that's what I'm expecting. We're losing like some of the best characters.
Oh yeah,
arc.
Oh yeah,
you'd expect to lose one of your favorites.
Oh, totally. Yeah. One character we don't lose until at least A New Hope. Bail Organa. We got a replacement for.
Was he on Alderaan when it blew up? Do we know that for sure?
Yes, he was. In fact, he even said in Rogue One, "I got to return home for."
Okay,
But Jimmy Smits had other commitments. Apparently, this is a recast. From what I understand, is a recast because that one very brief scene we saw this week may not be the only time we see Bail Organa over the course of this show in the next, next two segments. So, that being the case. Hey guys, Lucasfilm, we can change actors around and switch them out to be the character. It's not ideal. We can change the actor and get a different actor if the other one's not available, and
we don't need a CGI.
Yeah, that's it. We don't need a CGI double. I think he worked. I can't remember the actor's name, but he worked well as a replacement for
Benjamin Bratt.
I drove him one time on one of my first gigs out here.
Yeah,
blood in, blood out, dude. Come on, man. Miss Congeniality. He's a Doctor Strange.
Oh, really? He was.
He's the first guy who learns magic to.
He's the one who finds out.
I forgot about that.
I want to say.
Interesting.
Playing basketball, which was a reference to basketball scene in Catwoman.
Yeah,
that was.
But yeah,
Catwoman.
But in universe, Bail Organa definitely lost some weight.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the thing is, he also looked a lot older, and he would have looked a lot older now to try to de-age him anyway. And it's
I think that was good casting because they're like the same genre of person to me.
Yeah,
They're just different builds. That's what makes me laugh about it. Is they're just totally different builds.
But different builds, but like still the same genre of like Hispanic actors from the 90s.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's true.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's the acceptance of the audience that somebody wasn't available, or somebody has passed away, that they need to replace this character, or someone's too old to get a younger version of that character. It does kind of suck,
though. I mean, Jimmy Smith did play Bail Organa for the last 20 plus years.
Totally, yeah. No, it definitely sucks. I'm not going to disagree. Like, but it also didn't bother me because at the end of the day, this is still Bail Organa, the character. And even if it's a different face, it's not too bad of a difference. And there's a story to be told because he is so pivotal to this point in history of the Star Wars universe as part of that interconnection with the rebellion, was his running off doing his own thing.
Didn't bug me at all.
Yeah,
like
didn't bother me.
This I'm so into the story. It didn't take me out or anything.
It's unwatchable to me. Unwatchable.
Oh, shut up! You're kidding. But I'm just anyway. Yeah, it was good. Which kind of brings us to the party scene at the end. One of the characters been hanging around the party is Erskine. He popped up last week briefly, but he actually was first appeared in Star Wars Rebels. He was the animated character that actually was the one who scouted Mon Mothma away from
this is
Coruscant.
before he develops the super soldier serum, right?
What's that? But anyway, this actor is playing this character who basically is the aide who ends up by getting Mon Mothma out, and he was introduced last week through Luthen, getting to kind of get to know you kind of situation. He was in a scene briefly with Luthen, and Luthen was just feeling out each of the people he talks to.
There you
and
go.
It's
See,
kind of fun
they're including the fan service for people. You know, that's
sure,
exciting.
and it's a little thing, but again, if you hadn't seen Rebels, it wouldn't matter. It's just
It
a
wouldn't
character.
matter. Yeah, exactly.
But it's cool that they.
That's how it's done.
That is how it's done. You're right.
That's how it's done.
How it's done right. It's
not
done right.
Tell me where Thrawn is.
Yeah. Oh, shut up. But it's but that is how smaller characters like that are definitely done in my opinion. But this whole party scene was fantastic. I thought it was great until
you can't not mention the paparazzi droid.
Oh yeah, the paparazzi droid camera. That was great. They've done really fun stuff with the droid balls, like the paparazzi droid and the disco ball party droid.
They're like the posh droids.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
It's like the higher end stuff, they're not touching the ground.
But they also fit in the same universe because we see the interrogation droid in Star Wars: A New Hope.
Yeah,
and that's the exact same.
Droids.
It's all based off of that same product, which I really do enjoy. I'm hoping.
But it's like nicer. They don't look menacing.
Sure.
They look a lot.
It's the same manufacturer.
Yeah.
They make like party droids and torture as well.
I still think
the torture droid's actually inside the party ball.
Well, it depends on if you don't like EDM. Could be a torture droid as well.
Good question here. Does Mon Mothma's family survive this series? Absolutely. I think Perrin is the kind of person that will accept a separation, that she leaves and she walks away from all this. I think he'll have something to say about it, but at the end of the day, he's a survivor. He is a survivor in the rich. When you were Jason, I think it was even you who said, or was it you, Max, who said when we were watching the episode and he's worrying about the list of who sits next to who.
First world party problem.
That's it. Yeah, that's his first world problems, is trying to figure out, getting through the day, having to work out a list about who can sit next to who. Yeah. So as for the daughter,
that shows how privileged he is.
Yeah,
that's the thing he has to worry about.
Yeah, and as for Mon's daughter, I think she's already acceptance of the fact she. I
feel like they all could die.
No, I don't think so.
That they could die.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any.
The daughter is going to have a much different kind of tragedy. I think she's going to marry that. I think her marriage to that little boy, her own tragic fate.
No,
she's already lost her daughter. Kind of like her daughter didn't have anything to do with her.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
It's already like a foot out the door. And
I really feel like Mon's.
We're watching Mothma's arc is coming to terms of that, but she's gonna reach a point where she can't be where she is anymore, and has to be like,
and leads to this because she has to get out. And I think this is next week. We won't be seeing that, but we'll be seeing the prelude to this.
Her arc is her proximity to the trenches that we're going to see. And towards the end, she's going to be on an actual rebel base instead of just pulling strings from Coruscant.
But her life is going to be in great danger, though. I mean,
something's going to have to happen, which is I'm not writing out that her family's not going to die.
Okay. I personally think that they will just simply accept giving her up. And move on and continue their own lives, kind of thing.
Without selling her out, if she's a big name in the
rebellion, I think the daughter would sell her out before Perrin would sell her out. I think.
But but then who's to stop the Empire from going after her family? You know what I mean? That's a really dangerous thing to do.
That would be well. That's the thing. Dangerous, yes, but do you think that Mon Mothma wouldn't do something to protect them anyway?
She's doing what she can to like.
I think she'd also find a way
feel
to
like she
protect
would
them.
do the same.
Yeah, she
like,
would protect them, even though she knows she's going to betray them.
To separate from them, she has to leave.
She has to do that to protect them.
Like, oh no, how she went nuts and she left, so I wasn't any part of this, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of her character. So to lose them, and she knows she's going to lose them forever. She will separate them to keep them alive and safe. In that dysfunctional.
Kind of like Luke and Leia.
Yeah. Well, kind of, but not.
What was that? The Gorman massacre. What was the original Gorman massacre? What Tarkin did?
Yes.
Was that the original one? So there's a bigger one.
Yes.
Like that was just
supposedly.
That was an appetizer to what Gorman is going to experience.
So here's the thing: there's not a rewriting of the Gorman massacre because apparently
it's still included, but it's not the massacre.
It's not. Well, no, there was a massacre. There was no actual time period place. There was presentation that it happened apparently in the books, but they didn't actually date it exactly when it happened.
But what I'm asking is the Gorman massacre that they're talking about was Tarkin smashing all those people?
Correct. Yes.
So yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yes, like that particular one was never dated.
The massacre happens in this timeline, but it's not the massacre.
No, because in Star Wars Rebels, Mon Mothma does mention the Gorman massacre, referring to her version or her updated version of the Gorman
massacre,
which is what we're about to see. And so,
but they just called that other one the Tarkin massacre.
Yeah, Gilroy didn't want to disrespect the book's information that there had been a massacre on Gorman, because Gorman still somehow in the whole galaxy with the rebellion is the centerpiece, as Luthen is trying to do, spark that rebellion in people and make them mad enough to do something about it. And that's what this whole spark of the rebellion is all about. Gorman
I think that contributes. That contributes to like the kind of pride that the Gormans have. Like, we've survived this. Yeah. Like,
was Tarkin during Andor probably governing the Death Star and political things. I mean, he's a political advisor. He politically.
Well, the real reason they don't show him is they don't want to age down an actor.
That and actually likeness rights as well, apparently, to the family.
Yes,
because apparently
there was they don't want to recast him. It's he's elsewhere.
Yeah,
he'll appear in animated versions, so they already have an animated voice actor.
We don't need to see him. I mean, I wouldn't.
He's very high ranking.
I wouldn't mind if they said Tarkin's ship has arrived in orbit and is back again.
Yes.
That would be fine for me.
We didn't even need to see him as much as we did in Rogue One either.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we just saw him in the reflection and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would have been fine with that. We didn't need, like, a whole CG Tarkin.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's...
Either way.
What do you think, Anchorman? You ask these questions. I think you know the answers. Is Tarkin a Nazi?
Oh, well, yeah, it's all representation. George Lucas has said it before, the representation of part of that as part
What's
of
crazy is that, yes, they represent Nazis, but, like, in these years, in these last decades, American imperialism has kind of, like, went that way. So a lot of the stuff the Empire does just reminds me of the stuff the U.S. does, like, all the time.
Yeah. Let's start to wrap this up a bit, but Krennic, what a great fun conversation they had at the party. I've enjoyed.
He's having a blast playing him, dude.
Oh, absolutely! You can see it.
Like he loves that character.
Oh yeah, completely.
I wondered when that Gilroy asked him to come back if he'd be down to like play. Krennic again. He's like, oh hell yeah! Dude.
Oh, in a heartbeat. Yeah, he said that already in the interview. He said absolutely. It's like which leads me to kind of go to Star Wars: A New Hope for a second here, and may he rest in peace. The empty chair, which is the empty chair because they didn't want a head blocking the way of Vader walking through,
which is cool,
which is so brilliant. But the thing, somebody had to have this conversation as who is not in that chair right now. Did he just skip the meeting, or is he sadly gone? And yes, that character became Krennic.
I like that. The Empire's willing to just like kill off whoever they need to.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
His ego was too big for the Empire, man.
Yeah. And the last part I want to go into is Kayla. I can't pronounce the name. Luthen's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
How tense was that whole end scene of this?
She was drawing blood.
I know, it was great.
Like that's how intense it got.
Yeah,
it was blood in that gallery.
Yeah,
that was crazy, and like that being parallel with like the stuff that was happening on Gorman too.
Mm-hmm.
Like this crescendo of the episode was like them trying to get that out at the same time. Man, putting Lonnie in a really vulnerable position too as well.
Oh yeah, Lonnie was. If there was a great pairing of those two characters though.
Yeah,
as well.
She's like, you're on retainer, so I need you to work right now.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised. I mean, I almost had the feeling that Lonnie might have been under suspicion also.
I think they're playing it really close.
He's playing it too close, and I feel like that. I mean, I don't think he'll survive by the end of next week's arc. I think he'll be.
But as of now, I think like they're clueless.
Yeah,
the Empire is just so into their own stuff that they.
But ISB is smarter. ISB is smarter than that.
They're smarter than that, but like the Empire, they think this is the theme of like of Andor as well. Like they hold so much power. They don't have the.
Yeah.
They don't have like the. It's so much to hold on to. They're just They're focused on that instead of seeing every single detail. So that's where they leave these openings that they're able to get in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
like the back door to the Death Star trench being left accessible.
Well, that was Galen Erso.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like we might be seeing him too somewhere in the next two parts of the next 2 weeks.
If it serves the story, yes.
If it
I'd
serves
like to see
that. Yeah. That could be fun if that happens. And I only say that because he was actually at Celebration as well. So the fact he was over in Celebration.
Shit.
He didn't say anything. He was saying like, no, it would have been fun to have been on the show.
They're keeping that close to the chest then, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Not even any of the previews or anything. If he is even.
Yeah. But it'd be kind of fun to see that side of things too, if they do an arc on that, you know. Mm-hmm. And then again, we said it before, but just that whole moment with Bix at the end, I think, was just key to seeing her character just come out of this darkness. And I thought it too was an unexpected ending to the season. Do we think Luthen actually set up this whole mission?
I think they're working on their own for this.
They got the blue light out the window as one final mission, though. There was one blue light at the end there that came on.
Was that, or was she hallucinating from the drug use?
No, I think Andor. I think that's was right when Andor came back. I think it was when Andor came back. It was Andor and her. I feel like Luthen realized that he needed to get her online again.
Well, for a personal vendetta, I think that's kind of sloppy for how careful Luthen has been playing everything. You know what I mean? That's just what I see.
Yeah. Hey there, Jacob. How you doing? What's up, guys? It's been a while. You guys know how you guys been doing. May the 4th be with you, man. Tales of the Underworld. We did talk about a bit about it earlier. I watched it, did some reactions and dropped them. These guys haven't yet watched them. I did the midnight thing. I had to do it last night. I needed to get it out of my system.
With the Ryan Gosling show? I mean, that movie?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of cool things that are coming out.
Yeah, Starship,
to see what
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. But ultimately,
Jacob, what do you think? Do you think they're working on their own, or was that a Luthen mission to kill Gorst?
With the end there. I felt like Luthen set that mission up because it was so well planned. Andor had to get in, set explosives to take out the floor. Means that somebody would have had to have found information about how to get into this building, and Luthen has the only means of getting into this building through what's his name, the spy, Lonnie, yeah. And so I feel like for Bix to be able to get back on track, Luthen saw, especially since he was very aware of using the drugs.
It seems very charitable for
exactly.
Luthen. That's
But
what I mean.
it's charitable because he needed both Andor's headspace back on his side without having to worry about Bix all the time. And that is not charity. That is getting your key members back with their
So you like,
headspace again.
so it's like you help her,
Absolutely.
you help Andor, and that's a bigger picture
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Jacob thinks he did set up. That's what I was thinking, but the feeling like but it also felt like they also kind of
He's taking a big risk. That's a big risk they're taking.
Oh yeah,
for
absolutely.
such like a personal vendetta.
Yes, I will be definitely going to Star Wars Celebration in Los Angeles because it's only about 25 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
I am definitely.
Oh, it's gonna be there next. Oh shit!
Yeah.
I'll have to go because it's
Yeah.
so
I'm gonna have to
close.
bring. I'm gonna have to bring Enzo.
Yeah. Everyone will be. Yeah.
I have to
Enzo
bring
will be
a
old enough.
5-year-old Enzo to the.
There you go.
That would be fun.
Done. Yeah. 2027.
He'll be into Star Wars by then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's not enough wheel. There's not enough wheels in Star Wars though.
Next year gets really into Star Trek.
Yeah.
Everything floats in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough. Yeah. He's
it's gonna be hard to. It's gonna be a hard sell.
He needs a sand crawler. Sand crawler to play.
Yeah, there you go.
That,
Exactly. Yeah. I
It's like, whoa! Imagine how many wheels that thing has.
That's a lot of wheels, Enzo. Come on.
So I was going to go into a little bit of all the merchandise that's been dropping today because there's a whole pile of toys and stuff. But there's one thing related to Andor. Actually, two things. The book on the Art of Andor is coming out later this year. It's both on season 1 and 2. That is a book I really want to check out. And the other thing Andor related was soundtrack volume 4 to 6 dropped. It's a little shorter than the first from 1 to 3, but it's got some nice pieces of score on there. It doesn't have the disco theme in there for Elijah. Oh no, not disco. The what's it called? What's that type of music?
EDM.
Yeah, whatever it is. Anyway,
techno, electronic.
but yeah,
electronic,
electronic, whatever. Yeah. But going through, this is stuff that's like, these are some of the stuff that are dropping this week for Star Wars,
Oh, okay.
May the Fourth be with you. Some of this stuff here, there's so many cool things. Like Hasbro have been doing a whole pile of stuff. Hot Toys are doing a whole pile of stuff. This is my favorite, and I can't afford them. But these are all the 12-inch figures that are coming out.
Oh, whoa, 12-inch figures, huh?
Yeah. I've wanted this.
That's
from
rough.
I've wanted this all. No, this is Sideshow.
Those are all
yeah.
those are all peg warmer characters too, man.
Yeah, but they're so freaking awesome.
Dude.
Look at that.
The Boba Fett looks awesome. Go back
What? Boba Fett?
I'd prefer the lineup of.
I mean, I'm sorry, Bib
Fortuna. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a peg warmer, dude.
No, all of these.
All those characters are peg warmers. See, I would prefer the bounty hunter lineup to that.
But the thing is that even Hasbro, even when Kenner and Hasbro did the 90s toys of the 12-inch figures, they built over 200 figures. Most of these characters, with the exception of Bib Fortuna, most of these aliens were not part of that group of toys. So this will be the first time that we're getting 12-inch figures.
They're not testing well.
No
one cares about those guys.
Brent,
I care.
Name them. Name each and every one of them.
Okay. Left, Squidface, Barada, Weequay, Bib Fortuna. Well, actually, there's a couple of versions of Klaatu. The last two on the end of Klaatu, and I forgot the name of the one who's the one on the right of Bib Fortuna off the top of my head.
I'm surprised as many of you actually got. I know.
No. Hey, I got the 3 3/4 action figures over here of all these figures. They all came as 3 3/4 action figures, so I know every one of them. Although not their actual individual names.
Yeah, they're probably 3/4 action figures are probably still on the shelves, dude. No one wants those ones.
No, they absolutely. If I've got a
you're not. You're different.
I've got a 12-inch Jabba the Hutt that's sitting in my bedroom. I want to put the entire group together. Oh no.
Those are peg warmer characters, man.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
anyway.
wrong there. No one likes those guys.
I love them. Anyway. Okay, let's see. Sorry, Jacob. One last thing here. Okay, so I think Ahsoka Season 2 and Darth Maul series and Mando and Grogu movie is going to be big next year. Yeah, I think next year is going to be big. I think we have. I mean, we still got Visions coming out. I think it's September this year, and then with who's yelling? I'm sorry, I just get really hyper excited. We all get excited.
Visions Visions got some good animation studios in this season. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and the fact that Visions also is expanding on some of their stories from season 1 and giving us an actual series.
See what happens with Jedi Ethan.
Yeah,
what happens with him.
So we've got a few things coming out over the next few years, which are going to be fun and different and exciting to see.
Jacob agrees with me.
What's that?
Those guys are okay. They're not my favorite. Yeah, they're peg warmers, bro.
No, they're my childhood. They're my childhood. So to see them in 12-inch figure form
too, but sitting on the only thing on the shelf at Target. Yeah, that's
they
what
were.
I remember. Not those.
They were always hard to find in Australia. Oh my god. Anyway,
man, not here, dude. You're swimming in Queeways or whatever he is.
I have Salacious Crumb, the 12-inch figure of him. I've got Salacious Crumb as a 12-inch figure. He's sitting next to Jabba
What's
in the other room.
What's your least favorite toy you have, a character?
Least favorite toy?
Yeah, what's the least favorite character in Star Wars that you're just like, fuck that guy. I can care.
I honestly, I would have to stop and think about that one, to be honest.
It's like if they release like a 12-inch or like, a hot toy of a character, you're just like, nah,
it's gotta be someone from the sequels.
Prune face?
No, if they release a 12-inch prune face, I'd get the 12-inch prune face. Although I've got nowhere to put him. Honestly, I'd have to stop and think about that.
It would have to be what's his name? What's
the word?
Anchorman. I got Ray up there next to BB-8.
It'd have to be like Domhnall Gleeson's character or something like that.
No, I mean he was a good performance character.
No, it's gotta be that lady Poe knew.
I was not a fan of what's the name from Jurassic Park who played Hondo, the purple hair one in.
Well, there was a whole problem with that whole. They set up all these new characters, and they were like Holdo and whatever her name, Zip Lanigan, are going to be.
Zori Bliss. Her name's Zori Bliss.
Zori Bliss.
That's
Zori.
Oh, which one?
You wouldn't care.
Which one?
What's her name? Felicity's character.
There was a pointless character. She did nothing.
Well, they thought she was going to be the new Boba Fett. They're like, we'll put her in a mask. She'll take some cool lines, and everyone's like, she's the new cool person.
No, Max. It was JJ's buddy who he's just like, hey, you want to make millions for doing nothing? That's what it was. It's Felicity, dude.
Isn't that kind of JJ Abrams' last few years?
You want to be
that's what he's doing. He's just throwing a what's her name?
You're asking all the right questions to something I want to do somewhere down the track and just talk about toys for a thing. Do you have a favorite action figure? Elijah, go for it. We'll make this the last question, and we'll tie it up.
Favorite
Elijah,
action figure ever? Favorite action figure ever?
Star Wars action figure. Did you ever have any Star Wars action figures, and what was your favorite?
Oh yeah, I had tons.
Yeah.
I probably was, the Jabba the Hutt with the classic Kenner Jabba the Hutt.
Okay, all right.
Getting that one. That was like, ooh, you're getting you're getting the throne, and you're getting Salacious Crumb, and you're getting Jabba in one figure.
That was a good set. Yeah.
It was a good set. Like it's like a figure, but it's also a set. So I don't know. I'd pick that one. That one stands out most to me, other than all the different Lukes I had and whatnot.
Max, you were never really an action figure collector of Star Wars.
Not even as a kid. Not
even as a kid.
Anything. Yeah. No, it was always comics.
So what would be your favorite Star Wars comic book that you might have picked up over the years that you can think of?
Oh man, that's.
And if you need to come back to it, that's cool. We'll go to Jason.
Yeah, get back to me on that.
All right, Jason, what's yours? Do you have one? Did you have one?
Yeah, every time I saw a Jawa or a droid of any type at Target or Toys R Us, I was always down to get it. Especially Jawas, those were kind of rare. So every time I saw like a pack of Jawas, because they came in like a 2-pack, the new ones, and like I'd get it. So I have this huge, massive collection of Jawas.
Right. Okay.
And
I can relate to that. I got a series of different Jawas. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Mine changes every week. Currently, my the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels is my current favorite. But the one that I've got that's the rarest is the plastic cape Jawa from 1978.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
And it's like even just without any weapon and with it's got the cape, the original cape, which is in pristine condition. It alone is worth $1,800 just by the figure.
That's one of the
and
most
the cape
rarest.
itself. Yeah,
outside of like the Boba Fett with the
yeah.
rocket.
Yeah,
But
that's one I. Yeah, that's
like
one
that's one of the highest prices toys out there.
Yeah, that's the one I treasure in the sense of keeping it protected as much as I can safe. But favorite is that. The other one I really enjoy is there was 12-inch Tauntauns that were made with the Kenner line back in the 90s, and I've actually got both the one with Han and Luke on them. But they're really cool too. But then as for all the hot toys, I think Balin Scroll is one of my favorites of the figures. I think it just because the performance of the actor was so awesome and the detail on that figure is great.
Brent just likes him.
I don't know.
He's a fellow Aussie, so that's why he likes him. He's like,
I'm gonna just keep
Australians in Star Wars.
Anyway,
I have my answer.
Okay, cool. Yes, go for it. All right.
So I don't have any really figures or anything like that, but
okay.
Some of my favorite Star Wars covers that I have.
Okay.
The Peach Momoko Star Wars Revelations cover with Dr. Aphra. I always really like this Dr. Aphra cover.
Cool.
And then first appearance of the Mandalorian in comics. I also got the action figure variant for that, signed by Rodney Barnes.
Cool.
Some recent stuff. I never really got into the Dark Horse Star Wars books.
That works really well because it looks like a toy.
Yeah, I have a bunch of these, a bunch of the action figure variants. Right. I was gonna pick up the new one they have this week of Luke Skywalker for the new #1. I also did just get the OG Star Wars #1, the second printing of that. I think Brent was with me when I got that at WonderCon.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favorite Star Wars stuff.
Cool. I got too many, as I said. Mine changes every week. It's
whichever one's currently in your eye line.
Yeah. Whatever is. Yeah. Anyway. All right, guys. Anyway, I think we'll end it there. Wow, we're going for an hour and 46 minutes. I guess this was, may the fourth be with us. Thank you for joining us. If you stick around in chat, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. If you're out there and you're watching this post being live, and yeah, we will be continuing Andor reaction on Tuesday night, and we'll drop that, which will be part 3, I guess, BBY2, which is before Battle of Yavin,
BBL2,
2 years before. And
Jacob, actually, before we go, I was talking about that at the start of the show, but I checked that out. I was talking to Mark Guggenheim yesterday, who liked that series. This is the free comic book day one shot that goes into Legacy of Vader that you mentioned, the Jedi Knight storyline, and the new Star Wars #1 that came out this week. So yes, I've checked out all that stuff.
So Jacob, he's on it.
It's comic books. He's on it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's on it.
Yeah, I have been
totally
all that stuff.
Totally. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We shall catch